Let's do a quick market breakdown. Market already opened. He had some rebound, but I wanted to zoom out for a bit and look at the weekly on the Qs, okay? And this is what I'm seeing. Could we push back up to the top of the range? We could, right? But I do expect some kind of flush back down into these areas. We could just get a test of the 20 moving average, right? We could just get a test of this before a move back higher, which that would just be a sweep of this area. That would just be a sweep of the last week lows. Get some kind of sweep, which this is what I'm thinking. We get some kind of sweep back down into the 675 before a move higher back up into the top of the range. However, if we do starting to get a move higher, these are the levels that we need to take out. If we cannot take these levels out, then we're just going to roll back over. And then at that point, this is going to be an even more important level. Because if at that point we can't like keep this level, then I do believe we're going to head lower, back down into the 660s, possibly even breaking the 160. And if we break the 160, I mean, I don't want to be too bearish, but we do have gaps down here to fill. Does the Q always fill the gaps? The previous? No, it doesn't always. I know they always say every gap gets filled. That's not true. Majority of the gaps get refilled or get filled, but not all of them, and especially not on the index. Maybe on like a specific stock, but not on the index. Okay, I don't want to hear that. What I want to see is I want to see this area holds. This week, I need to see this push. I need to see the bulls come back in and push back up to the top of the range. Take out these highs and then maybe get some kind of retest and continue higher, which would just be the continuation of that trend line. However, again, I'm giving you guys two cases. You get the push back up into that area and we cannot break and continue higher, then this is going to roll over and the overall trend to the downside is going to continue, which is going to put us somewhere back down into this area. Might even put us back down into the 160 moving average as some kind of support. Let's go down into the, no, I don't want to go down into the 1 hour, 4 hour. Usually when we bounce at these support, this move right here never lasts. So be very careful. This move right here is never a move that's going to last long. Why? The 20 moving average is too steep. It's too steep. You almost never see these bounces break over the 20 like that and continue higher. They always break, well, they always bounce back into the 20 and then sell off. You might find support here and then a pushback higher, but until you see the 20 start curling, this move right here is not going to last. So what I would expect is some kind of reversal back down into these lows from last week, before you get some kind of push higher. And that will give the 20 moving average some time to like flatten out and start curling higher. And then once that happens, if you cannot get some kind of retest and then a push higher, taking out these highs, then the market's still going to be bearish. And then at that point, you have to watch this level right here for the break. But if what I'm saying happens, you are going to get some kind of move here before a move higher. This move right here almost never happens. Or if it does, if we do get a lot of like strong buyers today, you might get something like this. But trust me, tomorrow or the day after that, you are going to get some kind of pullback. If that happens, again, you have to, let's just say this. For the next few days, you need to be very careful because we don't know what's going to happen. This is a range that we've been trading in. We are at the bottom of the range right now. If we get the retest right here, we're still at the bottom of the range. you need to see higher lows, well, higher highs and higher lows start forming if you want to move back up to the top of the range. Because you see here, we did test right here, and from here back to the top of the range. Ever since then, we've just been compressing, and then the bears stepped in, and then we flush. So if you want to move back up to the top of the range, we need to see the 20 start curling, and we need to see higher lows forming. Okay, so pay attention to that and be very careful, because the market right now is not the best market for swing trading. Okay, let's take a look at one or two more stocks, and then that'll be it for today. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. I've been watching NVIDIA, and to be honest, like, I was scared last week. We are holding right now, but I'm still very skeptical, because this level right here, if we start flushing, that's where I believe we're going to test. We have a lot of support down here. Do I think NVIDIA is going to flush? I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. But what I can say, what I can say is, until we break over these levels right here, you still need to be cautious. You still need to not, you can't go all in on NVIDIA. You still have to be, at this moment, you have to be bearish, right? Even though we're holding support, if you want to call this some weird oversized head and shoulder, I mean, I guess you can call it, but you want to see some kind of move back up into this high right here, maybe a pullback and then a push higher, and that will confirm this head and shoulder or reverse head and shoulder. Until then, a strong possibility, if selling, if a lot of sellers come into the market, it's going to drag Nvidia down, and we might get something back down to this range right here, at which point then you might need to start looking for a move higher. Do I think Nvidia is going to sell off like that? I don't know. Earnings is, I guess, in at the end of August, so anything could happen. What I am liking though is that we are holding the 160 moving average. So if we can trade right here for maybe a day or two, if we don't want to push higher today or tomorrow, if we can trade sideways for the remaining of the week and then to push higher, watch out for the break of this. Because I believe once we break here, we're gonna get some kind of move like what happened over here in Apple. And Apple did this move beautifully, and it just took off all the way to all-time highs, and it just never looked back. You got a channel, broke out of the channel, consolidated right here at all-time highs, and then just exploded. We are pulling back right now, but that doesn't change the fact that look at this move, right? Look at that move. And I do believe that's what's happening over there in NVIDIA. While we're here on Apple, look at the 160. We're starting to curl. Do I think we're going to continue to hold this steep trend line? We might not. Do I think we might trade back down into this area? Strong possibility, because that will give the 160 moving average time to start curling, and then maybe use it as support for the next leg up. Okay, so that's a pattern that you need to pay attention to in Apple. Let's take a look over here on Amazon. Amazon is doing basically the same kind of tests, having or struggling at resistance, where this level is resistance. We broke out last week, strong sell off, held the 160, and now we're pushing higher. I want to see the push higher, maybe a retest, continuation, because we know all-time high is over here. And once we start trending higher, that's where the trend is going to continue, especially if we get the 160 to start curling. Okay, take a look at what's going on in the SPY. SPY, a little bit tired of the SPY. It is the same thing going on over here. Range, we compressed for a while. Last week was a big sell-off in the market, but the SPY didn't sell off as much as Nasdaq, which is typical, right? But we're still holding, and we are at the upper level of this range right here. This would be the middle right here, so we are trading to the upside, to the, I mean, the upper level of the range, whatever you want to call it. And I would be interested to see if we're gonna find some support right here, which we already did. If we're gonna find some buyer and we're or buyers and take out these highs right here, because if we take out these highs right here, all-time highs. Hate to break it to you. If we start taking out those highs, then we're gonna get to all-time highs. However, if we start getting something like this, start taking out the 160 moving average, look for a retest because again, just like the NQ, there is a lot of downside on the SPY. Back down to 720, it's not far-fetched to see that in the next couple of weeks. Are we gonna do I think we're gonna break or go sub 700? I don't think so. I think the most we may test the range down here if a lot of bears come in before we push back higher. That is just my opinion. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I think. Market doesn't care what I think. Also, let's just keep that. Just let's just be clear, okay? Let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft tested support there, tested support here. We did have this huge downtrend, which we broke out of, what is it, 2 weeks ago or so. And we've just been trading sideways ever since. We have been holding the support. So if we can hold the support and give the 160 time to start curling, then I'm gonna look for a trade back up into the range because we did bounce here. However, if you do get some kind of sell-off and we test down here, then once we hit back the bottom of the range, I'm gonna look for longs. I don't think Microsoft is gonna sell off and go. I don't think we're hitting 340 or below 340 on Microsoft anytime soon. Could be wrong, but I just don't think Microsoft is going back down into these areas. I believe it's more likely that we test 450 than we test 340. Okay? I could be wrong. Anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. That's it for today. I might come back later on and do a breakdown of some other stocks, but that'll be it.